Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features the Uncanny X-Men number 338, cover dated November 1996. The cover is by Joe Madureira, inked by Tim Townsend, and it very clearly features Angel. We have the caption Angel Reborn, but the interesting and intriguing aspect of this image is it looks like he's got his organic wings back, and they were amputated way back in X Factor number 15. So how on earth are they back, and why is the big question that this would raise for long time readers. Cover image is good, and let's open this one up to the splash page, also featuring Angel in fetal position there with his metallic wings smashed on the ground. What is going on? We learn that he was named after his father and his father's father before him. Warren Kenneth Worthington III was born into a life of privilege. While it's generally accepted that money can't buy happiness, his family's fortune seemed destined to ensure a lifestyle relatively free of unnecessary hardships. Obviously, it hasn't worked out that way. So indeed, and let's continue with the story. And here's an intriguing development, also kind of a little bit strange, is that this character Ozymandias, who normally resides in North Africa, in Morocco, is now in New York City, in Manhattan. How did he get there? And for some reason he's come to Archangel just at the moment that Archangel's wings are transforming into the older organic ones. He's molting the metal away, and the organic wings are to be found in their place. And he's teasing Archangel here regarding Apocalypse and maybe what new plan Apocalypse has for the mutant. He says, I've puzzled over his fascination. That's Apocalypse's fascination with particular mutants he chose to focus his attention on. But you're the one over whom I argued with the Dark Lord when he deemed you worthy of survival. I see now I was wrong. You are a survivor, Angel, just as Apocalypse always claimed you were. More's the pity. You recall your transformation into Archangel, the metal-winged horseman known as Death. That's a callback to X Factor 25. That was only the beginning, says Ozymandias. Know this, O little mutant. The man who turns kings into slaves, because Ozymandias himself was a king of Egypt and is now Apocalypse's servant slave, who takes away the gift of vision and replaces it with the curse of eternal sight. That's what has happened to Ozymandias. Has smiled upon you. May whatever god you worship protect your soul. So that's what I'm saying. It is a tease here regarding why the original wings are back and how it might fit into Apocalypse's long-term master plan. Great anchor image here. This is in effect another version of what we have on the cover. And we see that Angel here falls unconscious to the ground, crying tears of happiness. Warren Worthington realizes that after far, far too long, he's once again whole. The question that burns in his mind is why? And that is a question that readers have too. Now let's continue with the story because we get a change of scene. We're in Westchester, upstate New York, and we are in the danger room, or we're in the control booth of the danger room, looking in on a training scenario. And we have Storm, Quicksilver, and Feral Wolverine, as well as Beast, running and monitoring the scenario. The title of the story is A Hope Reborn, A Past Reclaimed. And the creative team, Scott Lobdell writer, Joe Madureira with Salvador Larroca pencils. So Joe Madureira does 16 pages of pencils in this 22-page issue, and Larroca does the other 6. Tim Townsend with Vince Russell on inks. So most of Madureira's pages are inked by Tim Townsend. Vince Russell inks Larroca's pencils, but a few of Madureira's pages as well. Rest of the creative team, Richard Starkings and Comicraft on digital lettering, and Steve Buccellato and Team Booch on digital colors. So what exactly, by the way, that's a nice upshot there, nice spotting of blacks and lighting on the trio there in the anchor image. Also nice lighting and spotting of blacks on Beast at the computer controls in the danger room. But let's turn the page and see what the training scenario is, because we're going to get a big page image here, anchor image the size of the page, and it's way back, going all the way back to X-Men number 1, 1963, and the original 5 X-Men in their original Jack Kirby designed uniforms facing off against Magneto. And who was there witness to it? Except for Jean Grey, aka Phoenix now, and Joseph. And he is reduced to silence. He doesn't know what to say as he witnesses the first time he encountered the X-Men. And the scenario is muted. And so Joseph says to Jean, there's so much anger, so much hatred in those eyes. In my eyes, this is the man I used to be. And look at that. That's a great image there by Madureira. You can really see that eyeball is about to pop with rage. And Jean says to him that it's probably a good sign that you feel nothing about this. As we've explained, you used to be known as Magneto. Your goal was to ensure that we mutants dominated the world in order to ensure our survival. You didn't care who got hurt as a result. The fact that you have no emotional connection suggests that Professor Xavier's mind wipe all those months ago was near total. So that's all the way back to X-Men, Adjectiveless X-Men 25. And Joseph here is wondering, if he can't recall the sins of the past, is he not destined to repeat them? And that is a big question that hovers over him for the duration of his time in the book. So the training scenario is over, and Cyclops arrives in his civilian gear, and he says to Joseph, when Joseph says there's something I don't understand, fire away figuratively, and Joseph says, although I have no recollection of this, I assure you, it appears I spent years trying to kill all of you, and as Cyclops, and yet you accept me into your home, you welcome me, offer to train me in the use of my powers, you trust me. You trust me when I do not even know that I can trust myself. And just at this point, on the question of taking in people who are not fully known quantities, who arrives in except for Gambit, and he says, don't go getting all excited, mon ami. These people even accepted me. And look at his face there in complete shadow. And this is now beginning the run up to the revelation in issue 350. And Quicksilver steps in and he says, well, look, the reason that the X-Men take in, the X-Men perpetual altruists, naivete aside, take in strangers. The Professor instilled in them the sense that given the time, the opportunity, no one was ever truly beyond redemption. And of course, this is a little bit poignant because the Professor was taken into protective custody only before this issue in Adjectiveless X-Men 57. And there is a big question about him in terms of how is he going to redeem himself after the whole Onslaught business. But Quicksilver makes the final point, even you, Father, are not truly beyond redemption. And Joseph asks, do you all believe that? And look, you can see the worried look on Cyclops' face and Phoenix's face as well. By the way, this particular page inked by Vince Russell, whereas this one is inked by Tim Townsend. So it's interesting to see the little differences between the two inkers. And Vince Russell's inks are a little bit more organic, less fussy and fine than Tim Townsend's. And now this is a really cool scene and unexpected, even though the groundwork has been laid for it in terms of what effects did the Crimson Dawn mystical formula have on Psylocke. So she pops out of the shadows, literally pops out of this shadow in the corner of the danger room. And she says, a question for another time, perhaps, Magneto. She doesn't call him Joseph, note. But as of now, we have more immediate concerns. This is a really cool image of Psylocke landing on the floor. And Madureira having fun with this character, I think. And she says to them, she's delivering news that really was hinted at in X-Men 57 as well. I'm afraid something terrible has happened to Warren. She didn't tell the X-Men at the breakfast table precisely that, but now she's saying it. And then, of course, what are you staring at? She asked, did I do something wrong? And everybody has their mouths open, looking at her after she popped out of the shadow. But that's a really cool page. Looks very good. I like Madureira's decision to leave this particular panel without a border. It's nicely done. Yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, so one last observation. This version of Psylocke has certainly been doing her stomach crunches. You can see that she's got a six-pack there. So she really is good to go for physical combat. So Storm comes over and she says, not at all, Elizabeth, but you must admit the new manifestation of power is unsettling. And Psylocke is nonchalant. Is it? My apologies. Apparently the crimson elixir that saved my life did more than merely add this scarlet mark to my face. But that is not what I've come to discuss. Earlier today I went to Warren's apartment. As you know, his recovery from Sabretooth's attack has been erratic at best. When I got there, he was gone without a trace except for this. And so it is an organic feather. I like the decision here by Madureira to leave all of the X-Men in silhouette, except for the details of their eyes. And they all have different eyes, different colored eyes. And of course, Scott has his ruby quartz lenses and just little triangles of light on the side of the nose of Quicksilver there, and just on the side of Cyclops' nose as well. It's really nice, and it kind of gives a sense of the X-Men not entirely trusting Psylocke as well. And then the scene switches to Brooklyn, and we have a nice neo-Gothic church there in Madureira's pencils, and Warren arriving powered by his organic wings, and he's still kind of struggling physically. I should be happy, he says. I'm happy about real wings, but instead of sharing the news with the X-Men with Bets, I'm drawn here. But why? And so that is a question. Why is he drawn there? What is drawing him there? Is it just a plot device, or is there something going on in his psyche that goes back to Apocalypse and Apocalypse's overarching master plan? The answer in part lies several stories below in the church confessional. So we've got someone coughing badly there. And who is this? A mutant, obviously. Look at the play of fire coming out of his eyes. Could we guess who it is at that point? And he's coughing away, which reminds us of the legacy virus, that it hasn't gone away. He says, I needed to talk to someone to warn them about her. Who's her is a question now that we have. Let's continue with the story. And here we go. So we're on to Salvador Larroca's contribution to the issue. Remember I said he does 6 pages, so there are 2 of them here by him. The scene switches to San Diego, and the campaign trail of Graydon Creed, who is seeking election in 1996, November 1996, of course. And here we have J. Jonah Jameson, who is covering the election and who's determined to get to the bottom of Graydon Creed and whatever dark secret he might be hiding, which is his mutant parentage, that he is the son of Mystique and Sabretooth. And that's what J. Jonah Jameson has a journalist's intuition about, but he's investigating, and he's talking to this campaign member here, and he's revealing here, this is a good speech that Lobdell gives him. I'm the publisher of the Daily Bugle, says J. Jonah, a newspaper predicated on the precepts of free speech and the responsibility that comes with free thought. So interesting little parallel there. You know, of course, Spider-Man, his credo derived from Uncle Ben is with great power comes great responsibility. And J. Jonah Jameson here has his own version of that in terms of with the power of free speech, there comes the responsibility that facts be given to the people. Whether you're talking about mutants or the Middle East or public housing and healthcare reform, people need to make up their own minds about the issues. Instead, they get scared and lined up behind the shepherd du jour and follow him up the side of the mountain and right up over the flaming cliff. I'm telling you, kid, I've seen this happen before. And those of us who are watching this video in October 2024, everything that Jonah says here, particularly in these speech balloons, could be applied to the current presidential election, where fear and scaremongering is being slung around on both sides of that particular election choice. I think I could say being disinterested about it. So Jonah heads out the door. I'll be damned if I'm going to stand by and watch it happen again. So who is this man? Do we know him? Well, he thinks to himself, well, who'd have thought? Good for you, Jonah. What's that expression about politics making strange bedfellows? J. Jonah Jameson may have been the last person I would have expected to meet when Cyclops decided the X-Men should keep as close an eye as possible on Creed's anti-mutant campaign. So good thinking, Cyclops, even if it means going undercover. So who is it that's gone undercover? Drake Roberts says this campaign worker. So it's Robert Drake, and it is Iceman. But look at this thought balloon that has to be Bob Harris has directed that this be included. It's actually Robert Drake, but while I'm here undercover, there's no way that that's naturalistic. It's just there for the first time reader. So this volunteer coordinator has a little chat there with Iceman. She is going to introduce him to Mr. Creed's new personal assistant. So of course Iceman would be interested in that. And she continues here. This is interesting as well. When Graydon started out, there were a lot of Friends of Humanity hangers-on. For political reasons, it was necessary to distance himself from them. Their sometimes radical views could conceivably hurt him in Middle America. With the campaign's infrastructure gone, a lot of shoes have needed to be filled. So Graydon Creed aiming for Middle America in order to get elected to the White House. And again, that kind of maps onto the current election campaign where both candidates are saying things to appeal to Middle America. So it's kind of like a perennial staple of US elections, one would say. Things haven't changed in that regard. But here she introduces Iceman to Graydon Creed's new PA. Drake Roberts meets Samson Guthrie. So it's Cannonball. So Cyclops really has done quite a job there in terms of sneaky job, in terms of getting Iceman into Graydon Creed's campaign and also Cannonball to be the man's PA. And then 2 more pages by Salvador Larroca. At that moment, somewhere in the air over New York City, we have the Blackbird flying, and just a bit of business here. And now they're pinging on Angel's location, and it's the church, but the church in Brooklyn is on fire. So this is an interesting image here where we're looking out of the stained glass rose window, and Angel is flying out in silhouette with someone. He's carrying someone there. You can just see the feet popped out there. So who is it? It's the priest, and he needs help. Just as the X-Men arrive, and Gambit says, I don't get it. His original wings were amputated. Is it possible they could grow back? And Logan says, you've been with the X-Men long enough, LeBeau, to know that anything is possible. So indeed, yes. And the priest says he's in there. He's still in there. And Wolverine picks up, according to this scent I'm picking up, yeah, there's somebody in there. Old sparring partner of ours. So now we're going to learn the identity of the man in the confessional earlier on with the fire emerging from his eyes. We're back to Madureira's art on these 2 pages. So the roof of the church explodes there with fire. This huge hand comes out, clawing the ground. And Wolverine says to Beast, get the old man out of here. We'll deal with the flame creature. And who is it? This person in flames says, I'm dying. You know that. And it is Pyro. So let's see what happens here. We get some kind of procedural business where Joseph uses his powers to grab the metal fence and wrap Pyro up in it. And Pyro recognizes him. You're Magneto. Once, says Joseph. Now I am the man who's going to crush you beneath that steel if you do not extinguish these flames. So that sounds fairly violent. So, that brings us back to the Danger Room sequence. Is the old Magneto coming back? Let's get past these ads. And what happens here is that Wolverine smacks him in the face. That's pretty cool. Like slapping some sense into him. And Wolverine says, we're here to take him down, Joseph, not to kill him if you don't do what we ask him to. And so, what's going to be the reaction there? Old Magneto wouldn't take a slap in the face from Wolverine, but Joseph apologizes and he looks chastened. I'm sorry, Wolverine, despite the words I chose, I didn't mean to harm him. I was merely trying to prevent him from causing any more damage to himself or to others. And Wolverine says, what are you, blind? Can't you see the guy's in pain? The legacy virus is killing him. eating away at his control over his mutant ability to control flame. So what are they going to do? Well, Joseph suggests you're saying we should get him to Mur Island for treatment. Now you're thinking, Wolverine was about to say, but he's interrupted by Pyro. No, listen to me, you maniac. I'm not important. This isn't about me. It's about them. So we're getting all this hinting about some threat in the background. What is it? I do like the upshot here on Wolverine and Joseph. It's really nicely done in Madureira's pencils. This is interesting here. We've got John Romita Jr. with his son, Vincent, with a family friend, Spider-Man there. And also Sign of the Times. At long last, Marvel goes online. So late 1996. Oh, well, it says here, as of July 4th, 1996, Marvel Online has been available on America Online, AOL, offering among lots of other things, a chat room, a bulletin board, up-to-the-minute information on your favorite titles, trivia contests, and a brand new weekly Spider-Man comic. So, the beginning of digital comics right there in 1996. And back to the story, and what we have here, interesting panel, everyone in silhouette, but Pyro on the ground and the flames burning around him. And he's still there hinting about... I told them, went to them for help, and they tried to use it against me. And Angel asks the operative question, who, Allardyce, who are they? Tell us, and we might be able to stop them for you. And he says, I don't want him dead, not anymore. Not now that I know what dying means, but they do. They figured I had nothing to lose, but I still have my dignity. So he's been all cryptic. You should just out with it and tell them who it is that is behind things. It's her. Just what she always wanted from the beginning, what she wanted. So who's her? Who is it they want to kill? No answers. But the ground starts moving. And the last couple of pages now is by Salvador Larroca. And it buries Pyro. And he's pulled away from them. So Joseph thinks he's dead maybe. And maybe I can use my magnetic powers to grab him. No. Wolverine senses with his sense of smell that Pyro's gone, and one of Pyro's old teammates from the Brotherhood of Mutants, a guy by the name of Avalanche, was just here. So long-time readers would have guessed that, given what just happened there. And Psylocke says, worse, he took Pyro. I could sense them leaving. Avalanche using his power to move tons of earth around them to cover their escape. But if they have turned on him as he claims, Allardyce might have preferred to die sooner than later. Okay, so is Pyro dead or not is a mystery now. Last page, this is by Salvador Larroca. It's kind of a little jarring. We've got the priest there. He's popped out again and he's saying, if it is of any solace at all, I can tell you that he is a man who at long last is at peace with himself. So the implication is he made a confession and he was shriven, as is the old word, and so he can die peacefully, is what the priest is saying. But Angel's got thoughts of his own about his future, and we see Apocalypse there in the background, and also Holocaust. I wish I could say the same thing about me, he thinks. From the moment I lost my wings, I prayed I'd somehow get them back again, but now that I have, I can't help wondering if it isn't just one more part of Apocalypse's master plan. Or could it be I've survived so that the Archangel of Death is gone and the angel is free to fly again? So he's got his original wings back, but is he still a pawn of Apocalypse is the open question. Next issue, and this is a surprise, Spider-Man and Havoc. So that's potentially cool. But Spider-Man Peter Parker did turn up in the previous issue of Uncanny X-Men, and my guess is that Madureira maybe wants to draw him. And so we're going to get that in the next issue. Letters page here concerning 335. And there you go. I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on Uncanny X-Men 338. And let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section to the video. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.